Hi, parents. I know this is unannounced, but I wanted to just come on and have a casual, brief conversation with you. This is a Monday check-in. I just thought that, we have these structure events that we plan out, but, it'd be good to check in sometime as well. So I've been doing quite a bit of, sharing about parental alienation on various different podcasts recently. And as I was doing these interviews, it becomes very clear to me one of the biggest problem with parental alienation out there is the lack of awareness in a way that is like this. When it comes to sexual abuse or physical abuse, it's easier for people to understand that. They can see the bruises, they can see, the marks and things like that. And, they can hear the screaming, things like that. So really, it it's as a society, we are quick to respond to that. And I'm talking about at all level. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you for being here. And, for anyone else, if you can let me know where you're calling in from, I would really appreciate that. And if you had any questions, please let me know. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is how we handle psychological abuse so differently than how we handle sexual and physical abuse. And I'm talking about at all levels. So, the system, the law, the judges, lawyers, therapists, law enforcement. When you talk about sexual and physical abuse, and the public too, when you hear about sexual and physical abuse with a child, it's very easy for people to understand that. People can comprehend that concept, and it's very easy. It bring out this emotional response in people. So the reaction to that is usually, pretty good response. People quickly provide resources and some kind of solution. Hi, Max. Hi, Shireen. Hi, Shireen. Thank you so much, everyone, for calling in. Shireen is from Arizona. Thank you. Yeah, so people can respond to those easy because I think there's some kind of visual, tangible way for them to recognize the abuse. And that's unfortunate because really, when you look at sexual or physical abuse, the true trauma of sexual and physical abuse is actually the psychological impact of those things, right? But yet, when you go into the situation of psychological abuse, whether it's parental alienation or not, we as a society is so ill-equipped in how to deal with psychological abuse. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges, the biggest problem with parental alienation, is that we as a society, as a system, the law, the professional like therapists, judges, lawyers, school teachers, all these people that's supposed to be out there to protect children, they don't recognize how damaging psychological abuse is. There was a study, I forgot his name now. He did a study with over 6,000 children, and he examined the impact of all physical abuse, sexual abuse, and psychological abuse. And he found that the damage of psychological abuse is just as bad as sexual or physical abuse, if not worse, because psychological abuse tend to have longer term impact. Because that's the thing is, physical abuse, like, a child get beaten up, of course you see bruises and you see mark, and it can have very serious impact, in terms of that physical damages. But what you should really worry about is what the psychological abuse of that violence on that child, because that child is going to carry on that trauma of being the victim, of looking at how that abuse play out in them, and then they will carry on that trauma psychologically all of their life. So the fact that we as a society don't know how to handle psychological abuse is a real problem here. That's why we are facing this. And then on top of that, right, alienators very often will then, on the flip side of it, will then use the tool of false allegation of sexual and physical abuse. So now you got the double wham on you, because one, you are the victim, where you can't get the society to recognize the psychological abuse on your children and on you. And then on top of that, if the alienators also throw in a false allegation of sexual or physical abuse on you, and society is rushing to try to, fix this, because society can see and can recognize sexual and physical abuse. So when they hear the allegation of sexual or physical abuse, they rush to it, and they try to fix it. And yet, because we don't have a way of recognizing, we're doing a very poor job at recognizing false allegation. So therefore now the victims are being double wham on this, because not only you don't get protection and help for the psychological abuse that you endure, now on top of that you are being attacked and being seen as a perpetrator of sexual and physical abuse. And this is, I think, is really the fundamental problem with us. Hi Rebecca, thank you so much for calling in. Jamie said, I have to call it quit with my custody situation. Petra, it's gone too far and no progress in DCS along with legislator, and the court will not acknowledge or anything. I have to introduce our group and yourself, and no one cares and blow me off. I even informed our state legislators, and they know what's going on and said they would follow up, but they have not. Knowing what to say, and I have another health infection and broken teeth from stress at night, knowing the emergency hearing we had filed from January and had never been acknowledged, and my daughter has continued to worsen and taken up her father. I'm aware of the situation and work in behavioral health and can't do anything for my own family. Yes, this is the thing, like Jamie was just sharing about her situation, which is what a lot of parents are experiencing. What you are going through is so traumatic, and you end up with a serious form of complex PTSD, because you're being attacked at all levels, and at all aspects of your life is impacted, and then you get dragged through the system. You try to fight helplessly and hopelessly, and the system is so broken that you have no way of fighting. Um, there are successful cases. I'm not saying that you shouldn't fight. And I can't tell you when you should fight, because it depends on your situation. And I'm sorry that you feel like you have to give up, Jamie. What is so important to realize is that your daughter, your love and your relationship with your daughter is beyond what the system can control. I know it feels like there's nothing you can do, but there's a lot that you can do. And there's a lot in your daughter that doesn't go away. There are things that the alienators can't go away. It may not reflect out there, it may not show it, but the love that you have for your daughter, the relationship, it's still in there in your daughter. And she may not realize it right now, but there are things that you can do that can help your situation beyond the court system. So don't give up. That's what I'm saying. Is you might walk away from the court system. I always talk to parents about there are 5 facets in fighting parental alienation, and as a parent or as a grandparent, as a targeted family, there are 5 facets to this. The first one is yourself first. Is that you have to figure out how to heal from the trauma from the attack that launched at you. You have to figure out how to heal, and you have to be healed. You have to be whole. You have to be strong enough so that you can fight for your children, so that you can express the love for your children, because it's very difficult for you to win this battle if you are not strong enough. This is much more a psychological warfare than the stuff that play out in court or what's going on out there. So the first and foremost thing is yourself, that aspect. How do you get yourself, learn about how to cope with the trauma, how to heal, and how to thrive in your life? And that's a very important aspect of it, but that's just one in the 5. The second aspect of it is how to handle your children, because your children, what you have to cope with now, parenting is already difficult as it is, but now throwing in there parental alienation. Now your child is under the influence, being controlled and programmed by a toxic person, by someone that have a really bad motive, who doesn't put the child best interest above everything else. They are so busy about winning. They're so busy with their ego that they can't see the damage that they're causing to the child. So how do you handle your child now? How parenting now is, you're in a special circumstances. It's so much more difficult to parent your child. So, how do you handle your child when your child is under this influence? Because likelihood your child is cold, defiant, rude, withdrawn, all the things that you don't want. And, how do you show love? How do you protect your child? How do you teach your child critical thinking, how to teach your child to be honest and be able to set boundaries with the alienators? All of these are really important. So this is the second aspect of it, is how to handle your children. And again, it's only two so far that we had talked about. The third one is how do you handle the system? Because the court system is, whether you want it or not, it's a big part of this. And that defines your legal rights in terms of the access and the custody of your children. So, and I'm not saying that every case is about finding a court, but this is another aspect that is very important for parents to pay attention to, and to recognize that when it comes to the system is like a foreign country. They speak a different language. They have different law and different rule and different structure. So what you consider as common sense, and I hear a lot of parents say, oh, I have a very strong case. Why can't the judge see this? Why can't, people see this? Well, it's because imagine you go to a different country that doesn't speak English, and then you try to explain your situation and your case in English, and then you complain that they don't understand you because they have a different language. And so it's so important for you to educate yourself to understand the language that the system uses, so that you can present your case in the right language, in the right structure, and that is so important. And building the right team around you. Now, when you talk about dealing in court, it's not just about handing your case over to your lawyer. It doesn't matter how good your lawyer is. If you don't self-educate and become aware and alert of the system and the situation and about parental alienation, then it's very hard for you to win. You need to be yourself really well aware of everything, so that you are also in control of your case, and so that you don't just hand your case over, because sometimes you do get bad lawyers. You get lawyers that don't understand this. You get lawyers that are corrupted. You get lawyers that have good intention but don't know how to handle this. So really, the third aspect is really learning how to handle the system. So learning how to handle yourself, learning how to handle your child, learning to handle the system. So that's three. Now the fourth one is, how do you handle the professional people out there? I'm talking about school teachers. I'm talking about doctors, therapists, maybe guardian ad litem, CPS, the people that have power in the relationship you have with your children, the people that have influence, the people that have access to your children. How do you handle those people? Because unfortunately, because of the lack of awareness, a lot of these people may not recognize parental alienation, and they may sometimes even play the role of the enabler, because they fall for the false narrative by the alienators. So sometimes they might play the role of enabler. So how do you handle them? How do you set your boundary? Understand that they are still within a system. They have their responsibility, they have their job, they have their role. So how do you handle these people? You need to understand where they sit and how they see things and what they're trying to do, so that you can communicate with them effectively, and where to set boundaries and things like that. How do you advocate for yourself? And so that's the fourth aspect. It's also very important. And then the final aspect that I would say is, how do you handle the rest of the society? Because alienators are usually not alone. They have very often recruited a network of people around them to go against you, because they have bad mouth about you. They have mudslinging campaign against you, to your friends and your family and your relatives and your co-workers. So how to handle the rest of the society is very important. I apologize. I actually forgot one important aspect is how to handle the alienators as well. And we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, how do you handle these people? Because they have fall for the false narrative. So how do you set boundaries? How do you demonstrate yourself so that you can earn your credibility back? And then at the same time, how do you build the network of people around you and your child? Because you need people, not just you communicate to your child that you love your child, but you need more people than that to enforce that relationship and that love. So how do you build the right people around you so that your love and your relationship with your child can be protected and empowered? And so that's a very important aspect of that. And then, yeah, like I said, the final aspect actually is how to handle the alienators, because alienators are broken people. They, a lot of them have, are or have behaviors that are narcissistic or borderline, definitely toxic behavior. Sometimes some of them believe that they are doing this in a truistic sense. They think that they're doing the right thing. Some of them are malicious. They know they're doing something harmful and bad, but they go out their way and do it anyway, blatantly. So, understanding the alienator, understand what are their behaviors and and what are the potential actions that they're going to take and how to handle them, how to set boundaries, how to and understand. This is the thing. Alienators are usually the people that understand you really well, because usually this is, your partner, your ex-partner or something like that. So they know all the buttons to push. They know your weaknesses and your strengths. But at the same time, you are likely one of the few people that truly understand the alienators, because at the same time, you probably had a relationship with them. So if you can take the inventory of what the alienators understand about you and what you understand about the alienators and redefine yourself and reset that boundaries, because alienation usually happen because alienators have set their power, assert their power over you, and you fail to set that boundary because of the relationship dynamic that has happened for however long, whatever it is. And so if you can figure out how to break that power dynamic, break that dysfunctional dynamic, and reset that boundary, that's very important. So, these are all the aspects that need to be done in fighting parental alienation, and it takes a lot of work and take a lot of time. A lot of parents will feel like parental alienation is something that just happened overnight, because, by the time that the children have been fully alienated, um, they they haven't paid attention, or when they see things, they didn't realize what they're looking at. They don't realize that they are a victim of parental alienation. So things just keep happening and kept happening, and things get worse and worse, and they just don't understand what's going on, and they just go, what's going on right now? And a lot of parents feel like they are alone. They are isolated because they don't know what they're looking at. They feel helpless. And then when it finally happened, it felt like it just happened overnight, but really it's a result of a long campaign. This is things that have taken time to get to the point it is. So if you understand that, so that you can then realize that this is not going to be a quick fix thing. You can't just press a button, you can't just take a pill. It's something that's going to take work. So if you can understand that, then you can approach it with the right attitude, so that when you have to deal with it, you have the kind of patience and commitment that is needed to fight parental alienation properly. Tracy said, "Good morning, good evening, Petra. Watching you from southern Spain. Oh my God, I don't think I've seen anyone calling from Spain before. So thank you so much, Tracy. You're spot on with the differences of damage from psychological and emotional abuse. It's a big problem and a great subject. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Tracy, and thank you so much for calling in. Jamie said, none of the professional will listen. I have explained and knowledgeable of this situation, and they just say, yeah, it's sad, nothing they can do. The school doesn't allow me to get daughter just by dad's direction. I'm single parent fighting a town, an army, and it has almost killed me. And I coach and great with kids, and no one listened to me. Jamie, I don't know. And obviously every town, every environment create its own challenge, right? So when you're in a small town, you have different challenges than when you're in a big town. But I also don't know your situation, whether you still have legal right. But understanding how to enforce your legal rights is also a big thing, And so, for example, you mentioned about the school teachers. I assume that if you still have legal right to your children, and yet the dad try to block you from having access to your children's school record, for example, then you can, you know, obviously the different layer are approaching, right? You try to approach them from the empathy level, so explaining, and then if they don't get that, then you may have to assert your boundary, and you have to look at going higher than them, because they are within a system, so they belong to school district, for example. You might have to go to the district layer, and you might have to present, for example, there's a federal law that assert that if you have legal right, then you have access to your school record. You might have to reference those. You might have to assert your right with the school district to say, I do have legal rights, and you don't get to block. So if you do have legal rights, you might have to look at different approach. If empathy and conversation and appealing to the emotional level doesn't work, if you're trying to have logical conversation, it doesn't work, you might have to go to assert it through the system, which is looking at I don't know how to say that word, disciplinary actions through the school district, complain and things like that. Or you might have to bring in the legal system, where you might have to threaten the school district if they don't abide by your legal right, things like that. So yeah, there's different things, and I totally empathize for what you were going through. It's very, very painful. It's heartbreaking, and I'm really sorry. Max said that's why in a lot of cases the target parent has no choice but to walk away, and that's what I had to walk away from my adult children. Max, I understand, and so this is the thing. Walking away from the court system doesn't mean that you walk away from your children, and you don't have to walk away from your children. And it's okay sometime where you feel like this is too much and you need a break. It's okay. Take some time for yourself, because like I said, the first aspect is how do you heal. So if you need time and you need to take some time, do it, but you don't have to walk away from your children totally. Just because you're not fighting in court doesn't mean that it's over. There are so many things that you can do, and you should still continue to do, because ultimately your children need you. I didn't recognize that I was alienated as a child until I was in my late 40s. Okay, so I've talked to adult children who are in their 60s, 70s, who are still struggling to try to recognize parental alienation, that they were alienated as a child. So and the thing is, it's so painful to finally wake up to it, because not only are you experiencing this and you deal with this trauma all along all of your life, but by the point that you wake up to it, gosh, having to face all that trauma finally is a lot worse than just. So your children is gonna need you. Really, they need you all along, and they probably likely gonna need you a lot more. So don't just walk away completely. Take a break if you need to. Give up in court if you have to, but don't give up. There's so many other things that you can do. So for example, I think this Friday I'm gonna have a workshop to show you guys about future communication with your children. How do you try to reach out to your adult children if you can't reach out to them right now? So by the time that I realized that I was alienated from my father had passed, but he had left behind things for me to find, that basically that was his communication to me beyond the grave, beyond his death. I am now finally reunited with my father, even though he had passed. We never get to have that relationship, but the communication is now there for me, and it helped me with my healing. So definitely, it's really important to make sure you don't just completely walk away from your children. Last, thank you so much for calling in. Really appreciate you. Mary has been fighting this for 17 years, and it's really horrific. So Mary said, I have music therapy, and that helped with my emotion. Yeah, definitely find ways to heal yourself. there are many things that you can do to help healing, and it takes all aspect, right? So it could be music, it could be books, it could be having friends, it could be going to therapy, it could be going into the nature, it could be doing exercise, it could be having pets. That there are a whole range of emotional tools that you can use to heal yourself. So be kind to yourself and find way to heal, because you need to heal. You really definitely need it. What you are going through is really horrific. You're not imagining this. This is not something wrong with you. What you are going through is probably one of the most horrific experience that any human being have to experience. So really be compassionate to yourself. Jamie says she hung up on me. I'm there at her games and she won't speak to me, and her twin brother is devastated because it is hurting him too in their relationship. Dad is illegally withholding her from me, so I cannot even see or talk to her. Jamie, custody interference. So it sounds to me like this custody interference, which is you have legal custody and you have visitation, but one of the alienator is illegally withholding the child and preventing the child from seeing you in the time that you're supposed to be able to have access to your child. That's called custody interference. Now, custody interference, at least in the US, is a crime. Depends on your state. Some state is a misdemeanor, some state is a felony, but it is in the criminal codes in, as far as I know, all the state in the US. Now, it is challenging to get the system to enforce your right, but there are certain things that you can do that can help with that situation. So we have different Zoom session where we talk about custody interference and how to enforce your rights. If you are not in our mailing list, please join our mailing list on our website at victimtohero.com, because we will share when we have this private Zoom session and we walk parents through what to do. Because a lot of the time parents will call, let's say if you try, a lot of the time parents just give up, first of all. So because parents may not realize that it's their right, and also not realize that it's actually a crime. Another thing is that some parents will call the law enforcement, and then they would have the police, the sheriffs will do nothing, or they might just tell them, oh, this is a civil matter, just go to court, right? This is not correct. This is not a civil matter, it's a criminal matter. So understanding that and enforcing your right with the law enforcement is also very important. So in this workshop and session, we actually train parents on how to deal with that kind of situation. So yeah, I hope you join us on those. Jamie said PTSD for real. Yeah, actually it's beyond PTSD. Now PTSD is post-traumatic, right? That means that it's after something happened. What you're dealing with is ongoing. It's still going on right now. You're still coping with it, and it's so complex, and that's why it's a complex form of PTSD. It's not just a normal PTSD, and you're getting traumatized and re-traumatized and re-traumatized over and over again, and you're being attacked by so many people at the same time, so many aspects of your life, and over again in so many different ways. So we're not talking about like, you have an accident or you're being abused once. Maybe you got robbed, or you witness a loved one died. It's not just like that. It's really a lot worse than all of those things, because this is losing somebody that you love so much and helplessly, and then yet having to mourn this child that's still alive, and witnessing and watching all the toxic things that being put on your child, and seeing the impact of it, seeing your child reshaped from this loving, beautiful, healthy child into this broken child, and being helpless. What you experience is horrible. And then not to mention parents that experiencing false allegation of sexual or physical abuse. So you're being abused by the system at the same time, and just it's horrible. So it's really beyond PTSD for parents. Jen said longitudinal brain studies show that a child's separation from parents can cause neurological damage to the amygdala, regulation of negative emotions, similar to sexual assault and violence. Depending on the child preconditions and the extent of the state of stress, the separation causes damage to the amygdala of reversible as well as irreversible nature. Many young people use drugs and alcohol for self-medication to be able to deal with difficult emotions. This type of abuse is often seen in teens and young adults prior to contact with psychiatry. New Spanish study shows that children in unequal contact arrangements or without contact have a significantly increased risk of risk behavior, including drugs and alcohol. I totally agree, Jen. Obviously, there's a big study by the CDC. I mean, like, thanks to COVID, right? We're all familiar with CDC. The CDC did a long-term study that involved, I think, 17,000. I don't remember the exact number, but it's in the 10,000, 17 or 11,000 people, looking at the long-term impact of early childhood adverse experience. And one of the adverse experience is losing or not having contact with one of the parents. And so they definitely found that this has very significant impact to these people, and it leads to, like Jen said, at-risk health behavior. So they adopt because they're trying to self-medicate, so they get dependency on drugs and alcohol abuse. And then also there's many other aspects of it, like these children are found to grow shorter than they should be. So it manifests in physical conditions. And then, like, the dysregulation that Jen was talking about, where these children, because we have a way of coping with trauma, right? So we have adrenaline, like when you are, let's say, under attack, right? So the adrenaline is get you to hype up so that you can either fight or flight, running away. So you get alert and you all that, right? But then in a normal situation, once you are in a safe environment, you now calm down so that your body can be back to a normal condition, and you can heal and you can recover from that, and then you can continue to grow and thrive. But for children that are in this condition, they are constantly anticipating problem because their trauma is ongoing. So it get into what this thing where they call dysregulation, because they are on alert all the time. And then that is so toxic, because then it causes long-term irreversible and some are reversible impact on the child, and then it causes impacts on neural development. And like I said, CDC had a big study, but there's also many other studies by the people that are looking at divorce and broken family research. These are not even people that specialize in parental alienation, and they found the same result. And then obviously there's also studies on parental alienation, and then also the study that looking at child development, early childhood development and things like that. So there's different areas of studies, research studies, that all intersect, that come with the same conclusion, that really parental alienation cause very serious damage to the children, both in the short term but also long term impact. And it's both psychological but also physical as well. It manifests into physical condition and physical behaviors, therefore leading to and so what we're looking at is a very serious public health problem. This is a health crisis, and yet the society is not addressing this, and it's a very big problem. Sharon said, I went to 4 support groups and 2 different churches. I saw it happen with my mom when I was growing up and was an alienated child. When I saw it start happening in my own marriage, I knew I would lose if I did not battle this 24/7. Got to plug in no matter how hard. And I had custody of my 3 children. I had to be the castle they would come home to every day, regardless of how hard it was. Take care of yourself so you can take care of your children. Yeah, I totally agree with this, Sharon. And yeah, definitely, you unfortunately, it's not fair and it's a lot of work, but it takes a lot of work. But you have to really fighting for this every day, constantly, and you have to be the safe harbor for your children, because the children have to cope with surviving that toxic environment of the alienators. Alienators forcing the children to choose. The alienators is having this conditional love. Essentially, the children understand that if the children does not reject you, the children's gonna get some form of punishment from the alienators. And it could be physical, but it could be not physical. It could be in the form of withdrawing love. It could be in the form of losing them in some way. Because some alienators will play the role of a victim. So like, oh, I would be broken if I see you talking to your dad. I mean, they may not say it that way, but the child understands this. So the child is struggling to try to survive and coping with this toxic environment. You have to be the safe harbor for your children, regardless of how your children behave. You have to figure out how to be the safe harbor for your children so that your children have somewhere to come to. You can't be the parent that also dishing out conditional love. You have to behave a certain way for me to love you. You can't do that to your children. So you unfortunately is not fair that you have to cope with so much. It takes a lot, but you do have to fight for it. But the thing is, there are hope. There is hope, and we've seen so many successful cases. And I seen successful in my case. So we've seen, and we share that with you. We know it does work. So don't give up on your children. My lawyer, Mary said, my lawyer handled my adult children in court with, I think with love, I guess, and respect, while their lawyer badgered the alienated adult children the same way he treated them 16 years ago. He had no respect for the children. Yeah, and that's the problem is alienators will forget that children are human beings by themselves. A lot of the time, alienators will treat the children like their properties, right? So they use the children as a weapon to harm you. So instead of putting the children best interest and their well-being first, alienators will use the children as a tool. And so because of that, the children, they have no respect for children, even though sometimes they may not recognize that. And sometimes even outside people don't recognize that because they're pretty good at portraying this false narrative. So unfortunately, that's yeah. Jamie said, I have had 7 and try and educate it, but as it gets drawn out in the situation, how guided ad litem, I inform she never listened and she doesn't like that I'm aware of things she's not. I try to be open-minded, but when they do not attempt to work with one parent, it gets overwhelming and emotionally. You just lose faith. It is so hard because I have minimal close friends and do not trust many, and most people are sick of hearing about the situation. Okay, yeah, so this is a problem, right? And that's why I said one of the most important and the first aspect that you have to handle the situation is yourself. Because yeah, a lot of people don't get this. So it's very hard for you to get sympathy, empathy, and support from people around you. And yeah, so when you talk about this, a lot of the time society will quickly turn around and blame the victim. They will say, well, you must have done something for your children to reject you, right? Things like that. And that's a problem. So how do you handle that so that you yourself can be strong and heal and not emotional? That's very difficult because you're dealing with children that are cold and rude and rejecting you. You're dealing with alienators that is abusive to you. You're dealing with drag out court cases and the system that don't understand you. You're dealing with family and friends that don't understand you. So yeah, and yet there's a false narrative that something is wrong with you. So if you get emotional and you don't know how to stay strong and handle it, you will enforce this false narrative that being said about you. So it's so easy for people to point at you and when you get emotional, instead of understand that you are going through trauma, that it's normal that you should be emotional, instead of being supportive of you, the rest of the world will point finger at you and said, look, see, she's emotional or he's emotional. That must be the unfit parent. See, look at that. They don't deserve the child. So you can't allow them to reinforce this false narrative. And that's why it's so important for you to figure out how to heal away from all of this, how to build the right support system around you so that and have the right tools so that you yourself is strong, so that in front of the rest of the world and in front of your child, you are this foundation that is solid, rock solid, that is full of positivity and love and just the best image possible. You definitely have to shine. So that's why that is such an important aspect, because it seemed to me that you are really struggling, and that's normal, and I totally understand. It's very difficult what you're going through. But yeah, not not putting it out there when you have to handle guardian ad litem or the school and all that is very important. Yeah, you have to be out there where you portray yourself as this strong pillar that everybody can count on. That is so important. Lorraine is from San Antonio. Lorraine, thank you so much for trying to organize the Children First flash mob in San Antonio. For anyone that are watching that is from San Antonio, we are looking for more participants into the Children First flash mob, and people are not familiar with it. We are going to have a public awareness campaign. This is a worldwide campaign. We're going to have a flash mob on April 23rd. It's a Saturday, and right now we have 27 cities around the world. And what a flash mob is, for people that are not familiar with it, is a group of people that suddenly assemble in a crowded place, public place, and do a quick performance of something, and then quickly dissipate and disappear. And it's usually in the purpose of promoting self-expression or art or some kind of cause. So for us, we are going to have a dance routine that's going to happen in 27 cities around the world with the purpose of promoting public awareness on parental alienation. And our hashtag is children first. So Lorraine, for the parents that are from San Antonio, please reach out to Lorraine. You can see her comment in the chat room. And also Claudia, is also from San Antonio and also one of the very big advocate. And I'm grateful for Claudia, really very grateful for her. And so yes, parents, please reach out to them. And I do have, I think, some people from San Antonio that I will forward to you, Lauren. I apologize, I haven't got around to do that. But yeah, we have a fun routine, dance routine, and it's about a minute long. It takes a little bit to learn, but it's not too complicated. Anyone can do this routine. And we have a song because we wanted to move away from protest or rally or demonstration, because those things have sort of a negative stigma to it, and people tend to look at that as political or drama. We wanted to take a different approach, which is we wanted to have a positive and upbeat way of reaching the public from an emotional level. So that's why we wanted to go with this dance routine and a flash mob. And there's already that surprise factor when people going about their day in a crowded place suddenly see a group of people doing a dance. It's usually piques their curiosity and their interest, so people will tend to film it and post it on social media, and that's what we hope. And we're going to share our hashtag as children first, so hopefully they will share these videos online and they will share with the right hashtag. And then when they do that and they start noticing that it's the same flash mob that happened in all these different cities around the world, then hopefully they will look more into it and then learn about parental alienation. We also have a website that we about to launch that explaining the campaign as well, so that people, when they watch the flash mob, they can go to the website and learn about parental alienation. So anyway, for parents, like I said, we have 27 cities around the world. If you could, we're looking for more people to participate, so please let us know. But particularly if you are in San Antonio, please reach out to Lorraine and Claudia. Claudia said, you are your biggest advocate. So read the family code, learn the criminal code, and demand to be involved every step of the way during litigation, and do not authorize any agreement without your consent, and self-care along the way also. Yeah, so that's really important what Claudia just pointed out. You are your biggest advocate. Really, when you're looking at parental alienation and you're looking at all the stakeholders are involved in this, right? So, the alienator and your child and you and, school system and teacher and mental health professional, guardian ad litem, lawyers, judges, everybody, and the public and the family and relatives and all that. When you look at all these different stakeholders, and there are so many stakeholders, truly at the end of the day, you are the only one that truly can fight for your children, that can save your children. Because your children are too young and they don't know, they don't understand, and like they don't have self-advocacy and they don't have the power. And then everybody else don't have the kind of vested interest and the kind of love and dedication and commitment that you have for your children. So you need to be, first and foremost, a strong advocate for yourself and for your children. And so, yeah, definitely self-education is really important. So like Claudia said, read the family code, learn about the criminal code and demand to be involved. Definitely put your foot down and set your boundaries, things like that, and definitely self-care. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that comment, Claudia. Pamela said, I Googled and found out it was awful. I assume, Pamela, are you talking about, you Google about parental alienation? And yeah, it is definitely, it's heartbreaking. It's just really horrible. I want to take a moment to share with you guys, because a lot of parents don't realize that we have some information sheets that could be useful for you online, and you can find it on under the Victim to Hero website, under the information, like downloadable information. So we have these 3 information sheets that can be really useful and helpful for you, but also for you to share it out in your advocacy effort, to share it out to professionals out there, to school teacher and other people, things like that. So give me a moment. I want to share with you these 3, let me pull it up actually. We have these 3 information sheet. These are oh, it's here. Okay. These are simple 1-page information sheets. It's 2-sided. Okay, so one of them is called Parental Alienation is Real. This is because a lot of people don't realize that parental alienation is real. And so what this information sheet does is that it addresses some key basic question with really simple, brief, and short piece of information. But at the same time, there are references to scientific research and study. So in the back, here is the list of these references that you can cite, that people can look at to understand that this information sheet is based on scientific information. So, in the front, we address, for example, this information sheet called Parental Alienation is Real. We address what is parental alienation, what causes it, is the research on parental alienation scientific? Are there recognizing criteria for the diagnosis of parental alienation? How many children are alienated? How serious is parental alienation? How does it affect the parents? What can be done to stop parental alienation? So we address these questions, and then in the back we have the list of references, and for each of the reference we list the citation, the scientific citation, so that you can find the paper, the document yourself. But we also summarize in the type of method that was used in this publication, and then also a summary of the general finding and the conclusion of that study. So it's very helpful for people to just kind of quickly, it doesn't take a lot of time to browse through this, and it's handy. You can print this out. Like I said, it's a single page, 2-sided page, and you can easily print it out and hand it out to people. So this one is called Parental Alienation is Real. Another one we have is called Myths and Truth About Parental Alienation. The same structure. In the front, we answer some basic question. Parental alienation, the myth is this, and here the truth. Parental alienation is just a legal defense used by abusive father, and then we explain the truth, and we list out a few other ones here. And then the same on the back of the sheet, we have the list of references, and the same thing, we list the citation, we list the method that was used on that research, and we list the general finding and conclusion. This is available on our website on victimtohero.com under information, like downloadable information and data. And then the third information sheet I wanted to show you, this one is called Parental Alienating Behaviors and Family Violence. Because yeah, parental alienation is domestic violence. So the same thing, we answer some basic question at the front, and then the same thing in the back, we have scientific citations to explain this. So I thought that a lot of parents may not realize that we have these resources for you that you can download for free. And because sometimes it's hard for you to explain to people and they may not get this. So this is another tool for you to use and be able to share that with people. So that is on our website. Another thing that we have for parents that are fighting in court. We have a workbook that's called Diagnosing Parental Alienation, the 5-factor workbook. And this is available on Amazon. And I know we don't talk about it often, so sometimes parents that, especially people that are new here, may not know it. So you can find it on Amazon. It looked like this. It's an ebook. It's called Diagnosing Parental Alienation, the 5-factor model workbook. And this is based on the forensic psychological model called the 5-factor model to diagnose parental alienation. And what I did with this workbook is I suggest a way, a method for you to structure the evidence for your case so that when you present your case, whether you use the term parental alienation or not, but if you present your case in a certain structure that based on this 5-factor model, because the 5-factor model is built around the psychological understanding of parental alienation. So even if you don't use the term parental alienation, if you present and structure your case this way, it's still easier for people outside, like judges and lawyers and even the public, to understand the situation. Because a lot of the time parents make the mistake of trying to present your evidence and data chronologically. Now this is overwhelming because usually you have too much stuff. You have just too many text messages. You could have binders and binders. Nobody have time to be able to go through all that. Nobody can pay enough attention. You lose the attention from people, and it become overwhelming, and people will just make a conclusion that you are too dramatic and that you are too high conflict and things like that. So that's not helpful. What this does is it's forcing you to structure your case in a structure that is logical and pull out what is important and how to present it. So anyway, like I said, it's available for you on Amazon. So if you are fighting, that I'm not saying that this is the ultimate tool. It can be helpful for you if you wanted to reference it. It's just another tool there for you. Let's see. I think I lost some of the comment. It scrolled through, so but let's see. My ex is doing this to me. My child has a guardian and solicitor to help them now. Yeah, sometimes, like I said, sometimes you might have situation where other people will participate in enabling the alienation, unfortunately, and it's challenging. It's not impossible to fight against it. It just takes a lot more work. Um, Let me see. Yeah, there's a lot of question and comment that kind of scroll through. Um, Jamie said, both remember I talked to you about all this and I give them the penal code extra and nothing. I think you are talking about custody interference, I assume. Joe is said, I brought in police because my son was physically and emotionally abused. My son was keen to write a statement. A charge of assault was dropped when my son was lured back by gift. Yes, that's the problem. Is your children are under the influence of the alienators, so um it's definitely challenging to handle this kind of situation. um that's why we do interviews of expert in this field. People that talk about false memory, for example, or when the children lie about abuse, things like that. And look at some of the interviews that we did. I think we interview a number of experts in this field about this, because if you understand that, then hopefully that can help you how you approach your case. Liana said, count me in for flash mob. Is there anyone from Cardiff in UK? Lian, I think I don't know where Cardiff is, but I know we have one in London. We have a Facebook group for London. We haven't had any rehearsal in London yet. I know that, but I know we have a group in London. And then the rest of UK, I know there are also some other people. I just have to figure out how to get it organized. Honestly, you guys, I actually need some help with coordinating the Children First campaign. So if someone that have some time for the next few weeks to help us with a little bit of research and coordination, I would be very grateful, because yeah, I definitely a little bit overwhelmed with so many things, and yeah, could definitely do with some like one or two people helping with the coordination, because we right now we have 27 cities, but we also need to expand more, and even this 27 city, how to support them and how to help them so that they can have this successful flash mob. So if any of the parents that are listening that could have time, anyone out there that could help, please let me know, because I definitely could do with some volunteers. Thank you so much. Lorraine said, yes, I'm grateful for Claudia. That's great. That's amazing. Yeah, Claudia is a great advocate. So yeah, definitely. She's in Texas, but she's really trying to help other places as well. Patty said, we are in Houston, ready to go. Okay, Patty, we have a group of people in Houston, but we have not organized it. Actually, Houston, I don't think we count it as one of the 27 cities yet. So, Patty, if um want to if you want to volunteer to be the lead in Houston, that would be amazing. If not, that's okay too. But I need to figure out, like I said, I need to figure out how to coordinate everyone, because I have so many people wanting to participate, but I don't have time to get it organized quite yet. Right now we have 27 cities, but we have like over 100 people that signing. Actually, I think over 200 people signing up, and I don't know how to coordinate with everyone right now. Tracy said, I'm definitely in. Great. Dakova said, Atlanta is ready. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, you guys. By the way, there's a form that you can fill out so that you can let me know which city you are in if you're willing to do the flash mob. I haven't go through to coordinate all the people that respond to that form yet, but if you could fill out that form, there's a Google form. After this, I will post it as a comment so that you can, if you don't find the link, I will post it as a comment in here, so that you can fill out, because it's just a way for me to know where everyone is, and that way I can sort of coordinate you with your group of people in your city. Leanne said, I'm an artist and I want to organize a worldwide art exhibition with artworks from other alienated parents. That would be incredible. And Dakova said, I am interested. I am interested. That would be incredible. As you guys know, well, maybe you don't know, I also use art as my therapy, I guess, as my way of healing. And so I paint, and I also write poetry. Let me see. I wanted to share with you guys. Okay. So talking about art, yeah, I really love using art as expression. So this is actually my painting. These are, I think these are, I'm confused now. Yeah, they are 5 foot tall painting, and they're acrylic. But yeah, so the first one that you see, this woman here, This is called Broken, and it's very much how I feel about experiencing parental alienation as a child, actually, less so as a parent, but this is my way of using art to express how I feel as an alienated child. So yeah, I think the idea of having an art exhibition around the world, that would be incredible. And what a great way to raise public awareness, right? Because we want to appeal to the public from not just the logical level, not just by using argument and using logic, but approaching people from the heart, using their emotional, appealing to them using arts and using music. That is so cool. So definitely, I would totally want to learn more about your efforts there, Lian, and definitely let us know. Um, and then Joe said it is impossible to get social services, police, CAMHS. I don't know what that stands for, but I'm going to assume it's some kind of child protective agency, or human services. And quote, oh, I think that's a Canadian organization for human services, or quotes to understand I have given up. Yeah, I know you feel like you are definitely in an uphill battle that against so many people at the same time. You're not just fighting against just one enemy. You're up against so many people. But like I said, don't give up. And also the other thing, remember this. There was a point where we think, as a society, we think that it's cool and fun to smoke cigarette. Today, it's pretty well accepted that smoking cigarette is harmful for your health. But for the longest time, um, the society refused to acknowledge that. And part of it is because it was driven by this multi-billion dollars industry behind it. So talking about people that have blatant motive to benefit and profit from people, but yet eventually that seemingly uh, huge fortress still fall down, right? Today, public still finally recognize that smoking is bad. So I truly believe, and we can't give up this conviction, that the same thing with parental alienation and psychological abuse. At some point, the society will recognize this. It's not today yet, unfortunately, and it did take a long time for people to change perception about smoking. It's the same thing. We do have to be patient, but at the same time, we also have to be active in our advocacy work to bring public awareness so that we can change the perception. It's like this, right? You go to the gym and you spend, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, right? And then you go home and you weigh yourself. Your weight is probably the same and you look the same, right? Um, it doesn't mean that 2 hours you spend at the gym is not working. That doesn't mean that. But if you keep consistently going to the gym, right, then at some point you will see the result. You will see that, oh, now you're back in shape and you're healthy. And it's the same thing. We can't just say, oh, I'm just gonna go and advocate once. Oh, the system doesn't understand, we're just gonna give up. It's the same with the gym. We have to be consistent, keep going and hold on to that conviction, because at some point, because if you know that that's the right course of action, that is the right thing, that you are doing the right thing, which is to fight for your children, to show that parental alienation is abuse. If you truly believe that this is the right thing to do, then you keep doing it. The same with exercise. If you truly believe that exercise is healthy for you, is good for you, good for your health, and if then you keep doing that, you will see the result. And so really don't just give up. um Dakova said, how can we get a copy of the information sheet? It's on the website, and Josh said you can print it from the website. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, exactly. Go to victimtohero.com, and then you'll see a tab that said information and data, and then there's a downloadable information, and you will see it there. We also have a few other things there for you to download, actually. I don't remember all of it, but it's on the website. Um, um, and then Jamie said, love your energy for this, and I want to be strong. It's just extremely difficult in the location and area that I am currently in. Jamie, I totally understand. It's very difficult no matter where you are. Unfortunately, parental alienation is a worldwide problem. I have this box. You guys, I don't know if you guys know, but I have this campaign called Boundless Love, right? Because I wanted to collect heart-shaped cutout from around the world for parents to, I want to collect 1,000 heart-shaped cutout to create an art installation so that we can travel to show this, to get public awareness, right? So look at all the hearts that I'm receiving. I want 1,000. I haven't got 1,000 yet, but this is a lot. And this here represents so many places around the world, so many states, so many countries, so many little places and big places all around. So that say that parental alienation is a worldwide problem. So I understand how you feel. It's very tough. But this is why we are here online. This is why it's important for you. Like if you can't reach the people that understand you locally, then reach out bigger than your local area, because luckily today with technology, you can reach out to people from anywhere. And then, with tools like Zoom or things like that, or text message even, or phone call, really anybody is just an instant away. So you can build a network of people that understand you. So that's why we have a support group. We have a Facebook group called Parental Alienation Victim Support Group. It's a private Facebook group. Sometimes we do get alienators that will join in with a fake account in order to spy on you. So definitely do be careful. But you can reach out to people and seek other people and build that support network around you. I know it's very, very difficult, very, very difficult. I wanted to mention, since I show you guys the heart, I wanted to again sort of emphasize that a little bit. So for parents that don't know this, we have the campaign called Boundless Love, like I said. So if you haven't already sent me, or if you want to send me more, please send me more heart cutouts. The address is Petra Deeter, PO Box 56116 in Los Angeles, California 90056 in the US. You know, any material, your heart cutout is about 2 inches or 5 centimeter. It can be any material: plastic, wood, paper, cardboard, crochet, fabric, any material, any messages. Just don't have personal information like photos or email address or things like that. Don't have those. Don't have anything too personal. Don't have your full name on it. But you can write any messages on it. Please write where you come from, where you send the hat from, because I do want to show the world that this is a worldwide problem. If you send me a paper hat cutout, so let's see, if you send me a paper like this, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so if you send me a paper like this, I will have to make a hole like this to hang it. So if you already make a hole for me to hang, or if you can already put a string, then it's easier for me. But also if you make it as a paper, I will have to laminate this because I wanted to protect this, because this art installation, we wanted to travel with it. So in order to protect this, if it's too fragile, I have to figure out a way of protecting it. So I want to apologize in advance that if you do send me a piece of paper, I will have to laminate it, and I might have to poke a hole in it. So keep that in mind. But if you already like make it, let's say from wood or plastic, then I don't have to do that. And if you already have a hole for me to hang it, make it easier, then it's definitely, I'm just letting you know. But it's no problem. You can just send a piece of paper. That's okay too. So yeah, I wanted to bring that, and then I think I'm going to go. I know there's more question. I also want to bring up one more thing. So April is the Child Abuse Awareness Month, and in particularly April 25th is the Parental Alienation Awareness Day. This is a great opportunity to get your local county or your local city or somebody like that to recognize parental alienation awareness day, and recognize that parental alienation is bad for your children. So So for example, I wanted to share with you guys this. So what you can do is you can request a proclamation, and anyone can do this. Um, Anybody, really, anybody can do this. Sorry, let me pull this up. And this is, um, I have to acknowledge that I actually didn't do this. Was done by one of the parents. His name is Brian in Texas. So he actually got this proclamation from the Harris County, and so they, you can request your city or your county to give you a proclamation or a resolution like this, whatever they want to call it, depends on the city. But what they say here is, on behalf of the county, we recognize and we honor that Parental Alienation Awareness Day is April 25th, and that parental alienation is bad for children and things like that. So this is a way of bring more awareness. And so you can reach out to your city or your county. And if you wanted to do that, we actually have on our website, let me just pull it up so I can share it with you. We actually have it on our website. Right here, if you go to Victim to Hero, if you just search for proclamation, and you will see, how we have a step-by-step instruction for how you can request your city for a proclamation to recognize Parental Alienation Awareness Day. So it's on our website, victimtohero.com. And yeah, I hope you do that, because now is a good time, because it's coming up pretty soon. So yeah, definitely do that, because that empower you, but also at the same time it help bringing public awareness. And the more people we can get to recognize parental alienation as a bad thing, the more further we are in this effort to save our children. Tracy said, I'd like to organize one in Spain. Please, Tracy, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to figure out how to get in touch with you. So we'll talk more. I know there's more comment and question here, and I apologize. I don't think I can catch them all right now. I'm going to try to look through it. The other thing I want to mention is that not long ago I posted a question and asked parents about what are the information that you're desperately looking for. And so I read, and by the way, like on our Facebook page, regularly I post questions. I read all the comment and question. I may not read it right then, but I do put time out to read all of them. So yeah, so I went through, and with that question about, what information that you need. The reason I asked that question is because I'm trying to figure out what programs and what information and what resources we can bring to you and bring for you to help you with your situation. So I looked through that, and most of the questions are surrounding this topic of, how to fight in court, how to bring awareness to the public, how to connect with your children, how to handle your children, younger children and also adult children. So I'm going to continue to bring more resources. We already have various programs that address these topics. So just in case if you are not aware, because I know that sometimes it's overwhelming, and I really need to figure out a better way of structure our information. But we have done a lot. I mean, by now we have well over hundreds of these programs where we bring in experts, psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, lawyers, judges, legislators, where we address really many of these aspects of how to deal with parental alienation. So one is look into our archive, because if you go into the video tabs on our Facebook page, which is Victim to Hero Facebook page, you can go into the video tabs and you will see like just hundreds of videos where we have all different topics. I'm serious. I will try to figure out how to structure it better. But right now, maybe the best way is to go in there and search it On the website, we have some information, but the website is not as updated. I apologize. So the best place to look for is actually Facebook. And then we also starting to put things on YouTube as well. If you want to help to support our YouTube, to grow our YouTube, then please, subscribe to us on YouTube. Victim to Hero on YouTube. So yeah, YouTube is also another way of finding information. But yeah, we have a lot of these experts that already voice their expertise and opinion on how you handle all these different aspects. But I will continue to bring more information for you to address these questions. But the reason I asked that question is really is about how else can I help you? So let me know, more programs, more topic, more question, more expert that I should bring to you. Let me know. I can't go in and personally help individual cases because I have done that before. I used to help parents individually. But then I realized that every case is very complex. And for me to do a case successfully and properly, it took a lot of time for me to research because this usually involves years of communication and behaviors and things like that. So then, and to understand the child and understand you and understand your situation. And then, and we have been very successful with those cases because it took a lot of work. But because of that, I'm not helping a bigger community because I'm spending so much time on these individual cases. And even though the knowledge from that helped me in helping the big community, I can't share their personal situation because that is privacy information. So that's why now I have chosen to not get involved in individual cases. So I apologize, I can't help you with your specific cases. But if you can think of, if you have question that is helpful for the community, and you think that there's program or topics that I should do that help you with your case that could help other people as well, I'm happy to figure out how to create that program or that event or that information or that expert or that resources to help you. So definitely this is the reason why I asked that question. And I also continue to ask more questions. It's the same thing, is because I'm trying to understand um, where you stand, what are your struggles, what are your strengths, and also I wanted to see people that sharing their experience to see what I can learn from you as well, and also who to can I can get get the resources from to support you. So this is the reason why I post different questions every day on Facebook. So I hope you participate with that. But definitely, like I said, join our mailing list on our website, victimtohero.com. And then if you could help us by, if you want to, if you can support us on Patreon, because all of these programs are free to you. So financially, we have no resources whatsoever. I'm doing this all entirely from my personal saving. So if you can support us in any way on Patreon, that I would be really grateful for that. But even if not, you can help us by supporting us by sharing this video, liking this video, sharing our posts, things like that. If you are not comfortable sharing it on your personal Facebook page or your Twitter, or we are actually on pretty much all the platform. We are on TikTok, we are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter. So if you can help sharing in all those places, or if you're not comfortable sharing on your own profile, maybe sharing in private groups that you are in, maybe parenting group or parental alienation group or whatever, that would be helpful as well. So thank you so much. And yeah, please participate in our campaign, the Boundless Love campaign and the Children First, and we have many other campaigns as well. And any suggestion, please. Oh yeah, I may be slow in responding because it's just a lot to handle. But I do try, and yeah, and so grateful for you. Thank you, and really stay strong. Know that you're not alone. Know that you're more powerful than you realize. And I will see you guys soon. I think the next session we're going to be talking about future communication with your children. So I hope you will join me then. Thank you so much.